Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it is a little chilly this morning, a little drizzly, and the long-range forecast shows that it's just going to be chilly for a while, and kind of think that winter is probably upon us. So I hope that many of you are ready for that. Hope you've got your wood stocked up, your gas, propane, all the things that you need, because it looks like it's going to be cold for a while for a lot of the country. Got to explain last night's video. Some of you are probably wondering what happened because it popped up and then it went away, and while it was up it wasn't working. I believe that this was my fault. There was a couple of things going on. Number one, my internet yesterday was just excessively slow. It was super slow. It took about 5 hours for that one video to upload, and then once it got uploaded there was no audio on the video, and I did everything I could to fix it. I looked at the original file and there was just no audio there, and by the time I realized all that I couldn't fix it, and if I made the video again and uploaded it, probably would have been ready to view about 1 o'clock this morning. So we just scrapped that, and we'll recover some of the things that I talked about that in this video and maybe another video later today. So the first thing that I talked about, and that's where I want to focus today, is skills. I talk about this all the time of how important it is to develop some good skills, good skill set that will help you become self-sufficient, because that is really the ultimate goal. It's not just prepping. I mean, prepping is great, okay? Prepping is great. Homesteading is great. In my opinion, you bring those two together and you have a self-sufficient lifestyle to where you can live pretty well on your own or within your small little community. You're not as dependent upon the outside world. I've said this many times. My wife and I, we view our property as an island upon itself, okay? If this was an island and we could not leave this property, what are the things that we need to do to this property to help us be self-sufficient so that we could survive and live off of what's just here? Now, that may be a very extreme situation, but it does help give us a better idea and vision of what we can do around here to be self-sufficient. And so one of the things that I promote constantly on here is developing skill sets to, because this is not something that modern people, do. Modern people, you typically go to school, you go to college, and you develop, 1 or 2 skill sets that help you, have a career. And a lot of times those types of skills aren't necessarily what you need for a self-sufficient lifestyle. It's fine if you want to go make money at some business, but to survive off of, well, it's just not there. And so many people nowadays, they don't know how to garden, they don't know how to preserve their food, they don't know how to hunt or raise animals or process those animals. They don't know how to make clothing. And a lot of people, they don't even know how to cook from scratch. I know that seems absolutely crazy for a lot of you, but there's so many people out there that, well, okay, what do I do when I grow a garden and I have all the stuff in the garden? What do I do with it? How do I cook with it? And so I want to talk about that this morning, and I want to focus as an example of this hat that I'm wearing. This is my watch cap. Some of you call them beanies, some of you call them stocking caps. To me, it's a watch cap. And this watch cap was made by someone in our group. And not just that it was made by someone in our group, but there's more detail to that. And this person is not my daughter. It's a daughter of someone else in our group that's some good friends of ours. And I'm proud of her for having this skill and developing it. And I want to use that as an example. Now, first off, the really cool thing is she's a teenager. She's 16, 17 years old. And that's unusual nowadays for a young lady that age that would have a skill set like this. And it's not just that she knows how to crochet or knit, but she can take raw wool from sheep and turn it into yarn, and she knows how to loom. She knows how to make sweaters. I've seen some of her work. It's absolutely amazing, and it's something that she's very passionate about. It's not just a skill that she knows how to do, but it's something that she's passionate about doing. And the reason why I want to focus in on that is because that's something, or at least an example, that many of you can do something like that. A lot of times these prepping channels, myself and others, we tend to sometimes focus on what I call the tactical, right? Oh, it's cool to get out there with cool guns and role play and train and look like G.I. Joe. That may be fun and that may be cool, and it may be necessary at times. I certainly am not downplaying the necessity of knowing how to defend your home and to defend your livelihood. But I can't always guarantee that you're ever going to need that. I mean, it's possible. We hope that we wouldn't need that, but it's possible that you would not. Knowing how to go out in the woods and survive in the woods on nothing, take a field knife, a hunting knife, and go out in these woods, and to survive, you may or you may not ever have to do that. It's a good skill set to have, but you may or may not ever have to do that. But one thing that I can guarantee you, and I can guarantee you because I'm standing outside right now, is that at some point in your life you're going to be cold. Your head's going to get cold. Your socks are going to wear out. You're going to need a jacket, a coat, a blanket, because that's just normal. That's normal everyday life, and I can guarantee you that you'll need that. And as things kind of spiral out of control in this world, we don't know how readily available things like socks and hats and blankets and stuff will be. And so I can guarantee you that this skill set that this young lady has to make stuff like this is actually going to be much more valuable as the world starts to fall apart than someone that's a really good shooter. Some of you may disagree with me on that, and that's fine that you do, but this is a strong opinion of mine, that a lot of times the skills that a lot of people may think aren't as cool. Okay, it's not as cool. It's not as rustic and rough, are actually some of the more important skills to have. Being able to, like I said, mend clothes. There's a lady in our group that she's a really amazing seamstress. There's actually a couple of them that I know of. And having that skill set to be able to take an old piece of clothing and mend it, or to even make a piece of clothing out of nothing, take material and put it together and you have a pair of pants or a shirt or a jacket. That is a very valuable skill set. The reason why I'm pointing this out is that there's a lot of people out there, and I get the feedback from you when I talk about, getting out when I go do my walks, which I will get back to them. Hopefully next week I will start to feel like I can do that. I'm still on the mend from this back thing. It's the longest I've ever had of having my back have these problems. But a lot of people say, well, that's great. I encourage you for doing that, but I may be, elderly and have some medical problems. I may be, young and have medical problems. It's great that you know how to shoot well. It's great that you know how to run and gun, which is a term that we use. It's great that you know how to do that, but that's just not something that I can do. Maybe I'm too young. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe I have certain disabilities. Maybe it's not that I have anything physically holding me back, but I'm the mother and I need to be taking care of the kids while the husband or the men are out defending the community. So what is it, the skill that I can do? I'm telling you, skills like this, knowing how to cook, take just raw ingredients and cook a good meal, knowing how to preserve that food when you pull it out of the garden, knowing how to take care of illnesses and injuries. These skill sets are extremely valuable. Going back to people in past ancient times, a lot of times at Hollywood, books, things like that, entertainment, we focus on the cool aspects of those lifestyles, the warriors that went out and fought. And while those skills and those jobs were very important, they were not really any more important than the people back in the tribes and the communities that were making the clothing, that were keeping the houses warm, that were making the food and preserving it, that were tending to the wounds of the people that got hurt. Those were just as important. So I don't ever want to come across as that if you don't know how to, run a tight group of an AR at 100 yards, then, well, you're not as valuable as someone else, because that's not it. And not everyone needs to know how to be a great shooter. I think everyone needs to know how to shoot a gun. I think everyone needs to know some basic self-defense. Even if you're in a wheelchair, you can still know how to defend yourself and use a firearm. But you don't all have to be tactical G.I. Joe. And so that's kind of the message that sometimes gets sent in a lot of these prepping videos. And I think I've been, you know, a part of that. And I don't want to always present that as a necessity for being a good self-sufficient person. This young lady that made this is a prime example of what we can be doing as a community. You know, she has taken a skill set that is really a dying one. There's not a whole lot of people anymore that know how to take the raw wool from a sheep or from other animals and to turn it into a yarn, to dye it, to weave and loom it into a, I don't even know all the proper terminology, into a blanket, to make socks, to make a hat, to make all types of clothing, scarves. The things that's really going to be necessary, that are necessary right now, we just get them from stores, from factories that they're made. That ability to get that stuff from those factories, from those stores, may come to an end. And if nothing else, even if it's still available, it may be difficult for us if we go to a digital currency, or if there's more restrictions on our movements, or all of these scenarios that many of us think about that could happen in the future. That's going to be a problem for us to acquire the things that we need to keep us warm and comfortable. And just the fact that this stuff is better quality anyways. This one was kind of custom made. I have a big fat head. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that before. I have a big fat head, and I don't like, sometimes these things get really tight. You know, you get them when there's kind of the one size fits all, and they're really tight on your head, and sometimes it's uncomfortable. So this one is made for me, and you're not going to get that at Walmart. This kind of skill set is extremely valuable. It's better quality, and you don't have to purchase it in the same way. There was a barter trade deal that I worked out with her to have her make this for me, and I'm just excited and proud, even though, like I said, it's not my daughter, but I think I'm just as proud of this young lady as if she were my own daughter that could do this type of skills. And I want to encourage all of you to find stuff like this. Maybe sewing, knitting, crocheting, maybe that's your thing. Maybe you like to do that. Maybe you've always wanted to do that. Well, get into it more. And if you are the person in your mag, in your community that makes, you know, hats, scarves, socks, things like that, you will be very valuable, okay? Maybe not everyone sees that. They should. But I assure you, you will be a very valuable asset to your community by developing these types of skills. That is how communities of old functioned, and that's how that they functioned successfully. It wasn't because there was a whole bunch of people that knew how to do one or two things. That's kind of how it is nowadays. What made these communities of old successful is that you had a lot of different people that each one had different skills, and they were really good at it. Look at your Amish communities today, for those of you that are familiar with them. Most in the Amish community, you have different people that are good at certain different skill sets, and when they all come together, it makes for a strong, functioning community. And this is what we should be focusing on. Don't worry so much about, well, am I, you know, really good at all these cool prepper skills? Focus on a skill that you know will be necessary. And like I said, maybe it's making medicine. Maybe it's being an herbalist. Very valuable skill. Maybe it's being a really good gardener. Very valuable skill. Maybe it's being good at canning. Very valuable skill. Maybe it's just being good at teaching children. You know, some people are better at it than others. And passing on and teaching children not just the skills, but our history and our morality and our truths is also going to become very, very valuable in all of these communities. So don't get discouraged because maybe you're not as cool as one of these other YouTubers or someone else that you've seen. Your coolness is in the skills that you have. Develop them and learn them well. Become a master of your skill. This girl, She's young and she's already mastering this skill. So I can't wait to see what she can do over the next coming years, because I'm sure it will be quite beautiful. This is how it used to be done, and this is how, once again, we need to be doing things within our communities. Folks, now more than ever, it's time to get your houses in order, to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.